So hello everyone. Welcome back to our CyberTalks. It's fantastic to have you all. Today I have the pleasure to meet Julia online and in London, which is great. It's a great news that I think life is start to be back. Julia O'Toole, thank you very much for being part with us on our Cyber Talk. And also, unfortunately, we were trying to organize a pub, maybe just to show the, the life it starts to be back again. But unfortunately, the logistics didn't play, but we are here online and digital as ever. So Julia, do you want to talk about a little bit of yourself and explain who are you? How did you start on cybersecurity, as you are a very great entrepreneur and with a great product from MyCena? So maybe I think I pass to you with the introduction.
Well, thanks very much, Raphael. Thanks for having me as well. So I'm the founder and the CEO of MyCena. So MyCena, first of all, is a end-to-end credential security and management solution. Which I'm sure we cover some of the things that we do afterwards. How I started in cybersecurity is, originally my background is in mathematics. And I have had problems with passwords for over 20 years. And I have tried lots of solutions to solve my problem, including technology, including mathematics, including neuroscience, and none of them had actually worked. The reason why technology didn't work is because from the get-go, I never understood why people would put all of their passwords behind a single point. And basically it was like having one key that opens everything in your life. So I never adopted that. And then the solution came to me when I traveled to an ancient Greek city called MyCena on the Peloponnese. It's a 3,000-year-old city, beautiful. And so when you arrive in the old city, the first thing that you see is the Lion's Gate, this beautiful gate. And then once you're inside, the story is that once you go inside, there was a second gate that allowed you to go to the garrison. And once you went into the garrison, there was a third gate that took you to the king's palace. And having looked at the problem for many, many years and looked at all sorts of combinations and sequences, I finally have thought that's incredible. Actually, all of the problems that I've had up until now was because I didn't understand that the password is a key, and all I needed to do was to actually make sure that this key was well guarded and protected in a decentralized way, so that only I can actually access this key. And so by having multiple layers of security in onion layers, a fortress model, you actually had the last piece of the puzzle missing. In the equation that I call that allows you to actually segment, decentralize, protect, and control every single access in an easy way for your digital world. So from this insight, at the time I was working on another software with my team. So we were already developing something, and the need came so strong that we decided actually to shift to building that product first. And that's what we did. So we started in 2016, and over the years, we've made the product, greater, more sophisticated. It's still very simple to use. So we actually work with clients and make sure, with my background in neuroscience as well, that we always find the shortest path for the brain. And whatever we do in the functionality that we're trying to create, we always make sure that this is one of the criteria that's always there, so it's simple to use and people would actually use it with pleasure. So that's how it started, and that's how now we have probably the most sophisticated innovation in the space that allows you to really solve over 99% of the most of the cyber attacks that happen today.
It's incredible what you are highlighting there. I think then we'll go for the second question in a few minutes. But I think I just want to say how important it is to see and to be able to understand certain pain in the market as you are spot on, and then try to come up with a solution in order to help our organizations to protect against the cybercrime. I think, as I said, I think it is incredible, and it is kind of a pleasure to see your entrepreneurship as well, to be in this area which is we know is dominated unfortunately by men's, and I think the position as we highlight here should be open to all. So congratulations on that. I think it's fantastic what you are doing with MyCena. So I mean, moving forward now is in terms of what you being, I mean, the market is booming. We know that, right? So the circumstances that we live, I think everyone working from home. So what you being, I mean, seeing from the market perspective as well, and what is people are doing the wrong way they shouldn't be doing in terms of what the cybersecurity should be involved for protecting us.
Mm-hmm. So, so you did well highlighting that people are working from home, because that's one of the first things that one of the first perimeters of defense that people have put up before the pandemic was the firewalls of the office and the place of work, and that has disappeared with the pandemic. Now everybody's scattered across their homes. We're using unsecure devices, unsecure Wi-Fi systems, sharing the devices, and that has actually increased the surface of attack for hackers. And we've seen that actually, I think the FBI has said that in April 2020 there was already a 400% increase in the number of cyber attacks compared to before the pandemic. So the criminals were actually really quick jumping on the occasion. So so that as a background for the increase in need and the increase of attacks that we've seen in the last 12 months is the fact that the systems that have been put in place in the last few years have actually facilitated the work of cyber criminals. So let me explain. For a long time, went through the digital transformation. There was a need for convenience. So the fact that everybody, all the companies, pulled all of the credentials behind a single access was actually to help the user to not have to remember all of these passwords and so on and so forth. But that has created I say a very fructuous environment for the cyber criminals, because now they can substitute themselves to any worker and then step inside the network, scan all the files of the network and look for the most privileged account, and then from there they can do all the damage they want. They can lock the files, launch ransomware attacks. They can launch the supply chain attacks. And so the most dangerous element now of the digital infrastructure are those single point of access. And so all this privileged access, all these privileged accounts, all these centralized accounts are now the first vector of attack for cyber criminals. So what has been done in a very quick way in the years gone by is now coming back to bite people, and that's really the things that need to be removed. So we call them single points of failures.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you're saying that, but I think that there is the cyber education as well, Julia, that plays quite a lot on that sense. And for what I understand what you're saying there, are we saying, because I think Microsoft is always trying to pursue the route of passwordless. So what is the difference for everyone to understand? What we should, I mean, first, the education of the users, this is going to be continued for a long period of time. But then are we moving to a scenario that we don't need passwords anymore?
Actually, there's two questions in here, and I'm going to answer them separately. So passwordless first. Passwordless is actually never passwordless. There's always the first layer, which is, you've seen, it looks passwordless. Behind there's lots of passwords. So it's a myth. The passwords are here to stay. There are so many systems that rely on passwords. They're cheap, they're exchangeable, they have lots of qualities. They just have been misunderstood. And as I said, a password is just a key, which you should not even need to remember or create. But the problem with passwordless is the same as with the master key. Once you're in, and there's no doors, there's no fire doors, to stop the fire to spread across the building. And so you actually come back to the first instance of no segmentation. So to really have the cyber resilience that companies need, so that one event doesn't actually impact the whole network and beyond through supply chain attacks, is actually to really segment every single system and then put a strong unique key for each of them, and then distribute the keys in a decentralized way so that only the person who actually needs the key can have it. And then the hackers then need to go and pick in every single pocket, every single fortress to find the right key, open that door, and once it's in, it's only in that room. All the other rooms stay intact. So the logic is very much like in buildings when you really try to contain any fire that has started. And the second thing is about education. So there's something that's that people I think miss in cybersecurity is that digital risks are very much like physical risks, and but it's just that our brain can't see it. So if you actually translate the digital risks into a physical context, so imagine if every time you had to go to the office, you had to watch every step that you do. Once you pass the screen, you go into a lift, you need to check whether each button is actually a genuine button or whether it's hiding a bomb. And then you need to go to your office and then make sure that people are not watching you when you actually open a door. This is actually extremely, creating a sentiment of fear and creates a huge mental load on the workers. And it's like expecting everybody to be a security professional in the physical life. And it's very unrealistic. And there's no wonder why, even in the latest survey, they show that 61% of employees who've been surveyed failed in the most cybersecurity quiz questions. Year after year, you're trying to teach people how to create strong passwords, how to not click on links and so on, not to verify the address on the website so that they don't give the credentials to criminals. It's people can't remember. They are not professionals. That's not their job. So I think what we're going to see in years to come is a kind of an automation of all the tasks that are human related. And once you let the technology do the heavy lifting, you simplify the processes, you automate the processes. So all the employee needs to do is to actually click a button. There's no right, there's no left. It's just one way. Then they can't make mistakes. You remove the human errors. So the goal, if you want to not waste your money on the training that doesn't work, on tools that still leak, you can put all the monitoring you want. If the hacker finds the key, he enters. So really the thinking is to change from looking at physical digital risk like physical risks and trying to actually mimic what we're doing in the physical world inside the digital environment. So imagine if you go into a factory and you work in a factory, and then people ask you to actually secure every single machine that you need to use at every moment of the day. I mean, you will become paranoid, and so the job of the company is really to secure the environment for the workers, so that workers can do their job, in peaceful way and go back to they don't need to forget the passwords, they don't need to create them. They just need to go in, put the key, and enter into the job. No, so that I think is good.
It's very fantastic, and I think you spot on saying about is the physical world risks that in the digital way that the brain cannot see. I think it's fantastic, spot on in that sense. And Julia, for us to finalize our interview today. So how did you compare, I think probably the growth in the cybersecurity? I know that in terms of a vector of attacks, we're being inundated of vectors, methods, and the hacker industry is the cybercrime industry, not the hackers, but the cybercrime industry is growing in a certain speed. Are the companies following up?
I think that's it kind of joins back to the previous comment that I made on education and really understanding the physical and digital risks. I think one of the mistakes that we've made as well in cybersecurity is trying to go for zero risk. Zero risk doesn't exist. No, neither in real life nor in digital life. And if you're a good cop, you're always going to be catching up on the criminals. And don't forget that the criminals, they are actually in criminality, they were in criminality before cyber. So they actually have lots of tricks in their bags and they get lots of stealthy ways to actually go around all your monitoring. They think like they have been thinking like criminals for a long time. So if you always trying to play catch up, you're never going to win. And one of the examples that I like to give is you can only scan for threats that you know. It's a bit like COVID. You can only scan for the new variants for which you have already found a sequence. You can't test for variants that don't exist yet. So in the detection systems that we have in cybersecurity, it's the same. You have a list of vulnerabilities, of misconfigurations that you know, but then you don't know what you don't know, and you can't scan for what you don't know. So in the situation where there's always going to be innovation from the cyber criminals' point of view, you will never have a situation where you have zero risk, because even today you're scanning for today's risk that you know, but not for today's risk that you don't know. So that's really the reason why I think the mindset has to change. We cannot go for zero risk. We have to go for cyber resilience. And cyber resilience means that if you are hacked, the impact is going to be minimal, and you're not going to jeopardize your company, but also other companies, like in the supply chain attacks that we've seen in recent months, which are extremely, you talk about the growth of cybercrime. This is the reason, the single point of failures, and the fact that we run after zero risk while we should be running after cyber resilience.
No, and you're definitely right on that. I think it's kind of be prepared, because I think we should assume that it will happen. It's a matter of a time. That's the fact. We shouldn't never believe there's a certain thing that's never going to happen. I think it's a risk, as you mentioned, and can happen to any company, and any company has even if they spend $1 million, $2 million, or even unlimited budget, is definitely, I think the tools are there to help. But fundamentally speaking, also the education of the users, reducing the exposure. There's a lot of metrics to take in consideration. But Julia, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to speak with you today, and also London is back, and I hope to see you in Brazil one day.
Likewise. Thank you very much.